Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Ayugi Odida, the social scientist. In this channel, we discuss social issues that affect us. Social issues such as marriage, such as health, such as relationship, among other social issues that generally affect us in our general day-to-day lives. Now, if you have not subscribed to this channel, I'm urging you, please subscribe so that anytime that I upload a new video, you can be notified so that you can learn whatever we have to learn for that particular day. Now, today I want to finish up on the aspect of languages of love. Very brief. Today I'll make a very short video to the viewers. We had talked about the languages of love in part 1. We had talked about how to identify your love language in part 2. And in this part 3, I want us to reflect and think of how can I know the love language of the other person. How can I know the love language of maybe my spouse, maybe my sister, my brother, my siblings, my friends, amongst others? How can I identify their love language? And that will be a bit easy should we focus much on the few statements that I want to make. Number one is that as you interact with this person, kindly try to note some of the things that the person loves. What are some of the things that when you do, you see the person in Swahili we say jamaa anachangamka. What are some of the things that when you do to this person, he or she feels tingled up? If maybe is somebody that you are used to, maybe like your brother or your sister, there are things that when you do to them, they will feel that you have done something to them. So take your time to understand how and what happens if I do this to my to this other person. In the aspect of love language, how do I know that this person's love language is this? Because not everybody will come out to tell you that this is my love language and this is not my love language. Many a times we don't. So the only thing that remains is you as an individual, you need to take an initiative to look at the person. Out of the 5 languages that we had talked about in part 1 and part 2, which ones does he or she feel comfortable when done to him or to her? And that is upon you as the person who tries to understand the love language of the other person. Number 2, if the person feels offended when the following things are done to him or her, then you feel that this one is not right. And by the following things, I mean the things that we had learned in part 2. That means I'm taking you back to part 2. Kindly go back so that we can watch. Look at the 5 aspects in part 2 that we talked about, that reminds us of what does the other person feels that is loved. Maybe it can be the aspect of touch, maybe it can be the aspect of gift, maybe it can be the aspect of words of affirmation, maybe it can be the aspects of act of service. Any of the activities that the person feels that if this one is done to them, then they feel happy. Now that is you trying to know what the other person loves. It's different from the one I talked about in part 2 where you are identifying your own. In this one, you are trying to understand what the other person loves. And lastly, as an individual, when you were somewhere seated and you observe the other person, you just observe the person from a distance, what does he or she love doing? Categorize them into the 5 languages that we talked about. From a distance, you just watch the person from a distance. What is the person doing that you feel he or she loves doing? If you can identify what that person does when alone, then it will be much easier for you to know that so and so loves this, so and so loves this, so and so loves this. And that brings us to the end of today's presentation, that is love languages part 3, how to identify the love language of another person. Thank you for watching and welcome to this YouTube channel. Bye bye.